of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
Shoot! I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said? We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
she let out a blood-curdling scream.
And when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
It was to get us to divide into two groups, so that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up. Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we are on the third floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead, Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but... looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed, so Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
All I said was... They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this.
It's obvious, isn't what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened, and they must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die,
Just like those guys died.
Shoot! All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are going to die. And that is.
And that's all it takes to finish this. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be positively. We are all going to die here. We are going to die.
Just like
Those guys.
No, that's wrong. That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? Celeste put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Shoot!
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is...
No way! You dressed me up in that, then you just draped me up. You tried to make me look...
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, if the person in... There's no way they could...
Stand up straight like that. No, that's wrong. No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Celeste?
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Wait! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually... Taro!
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No, there's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say? To think you'd take your false accusation so far I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you? Well? Do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Fine. Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up!
My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
How many times do I have to tell you? My name is... Celestia Ludenberg! God damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me, that's the only truth there is! Moron!
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know
know the killer's last name. If there's one person here,
It would have to be you, Celeste.
how many times Celestia Ludenberg!
How long do you plan?
I'm not pretending.
And since you have no way to contradict me, that's the only truth there is! Moron!
Hifumi he wanted us to know the killer's. If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't.
how many times
Celestia Ludenberg!
How long do you plan?
I'm not pretending. And since you have no way to contradict me,
No, that's wrong. That's it. The handbook.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before. So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then, let me settle it. Let me go over the case again, from the beginning, and shed light on all your crimes. And that'll bring everything to an end. is exactly what happened.